Hello and welcome to Junior Achievement's virtual speaker series. Today we're focusing on job opportunities within government, and our speaker today will be sharing his personal journey. Welcome, Zach Davis Walker. Zach is the Operations Administrator with the Planning and Zoning Division with the City of Lauderhill. Zach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Our pleasure. Can you talk about a little bit about what you did after high school? Did you go to college? What did you major in?
Yes, so in high school, I played football. So immediately after, I received a athletic scholarship to play football at Indiana University. So I traveled up to Indiana and I started early in the summertime so I can get acquainted with the campus and college workouts, which were very, very hard. And when I was there, I did not know what I wanted to do. I was into a lot of things growing up. I knew I was interested in physical therapy at one point, all the way to, working in finance, which I couldn't even imagine nowadays, even though I worked for the finance department. But after being exploratory for a couple of years, really a year and a half, I settled. I don't know if settled is the right word, but I landed within public policy. So my major in undergrad was public administration. And the reason why I chose that route is because I appreciate, or I'm interested in the way that legislation gets made and the way in which that legislation impacts policy and regulations, and how those regulations touch our day-to-day lives, and how you can see changes, the changes that you want to see by way of those regulations. So I thought that was very, very interesting. And that's the path that I chose. That's where I finally landed. So after college, I graduated and I came back home to South Florida. I'm originally from Lauderhill, as a matter of fact. And I began working as an assistant to the in-house counsel for a development company, construction. And it was during that time that I began studying for the LSAT. And I was fortunate enough to receive a partial scholarship to go back to IU and complete my law degree. So I got my JD from IU. And while I was in law school, I did not enjoy it, believe it or not. But because of my competitive background, I refused to leave. I wanted to finish. And then that turned into, well, I want to pass the bar exam too, because everyone else has to take a bar exam. So I took the bar and I passed the bar. But while I was in law school, I decided to focus on real estate, because when I went, I thought I was going to be an administrative lawyer. An administrative attorney is kind of what follows a policy major. So they work within not just, government, but they work in compliance. So at the federal level, the state level, the local level, you have different compliance, and even in the private sector, different requirements for compliance and the way you structure a company and the way that you do day-to-day business. So that was a bore, and law school was a bore. So I focused in real estate because I thought that was something that was hands-on and something that I could apply to my life, because I hope to buy, multiple properties one day. But that's where it was. That was why I focused in that area. And after law school, I went on to take the bar. I passed the bar, became a licensed attorney, and I worked in landlord-tenant representation. And then from there, I found an opportunity within planning and zoning, and community development was really what the opportunity was. And because I had interned here at the City of Lauderhill during undergrad, as required by my major, I reached out and I wanted to find out what opportunities there were and what I could do to make myself more marketable for the position. And after some time, I, got the opportunity to work within planning and zoning. Again, it was actually community development. It was a CRA. And I loved it because it kind of married my experiences in policy, and which is very interesting, and my legal background. And during law school, I interned at a real estate law firm for both summers. I worked with a real estate attorney immediately after while I was studying for the bar. So community development wasn't too far off from that experience area. And I was then poached and I went to a law firm, and I worked at a law firm doing land use, which focuses on planning and zoning specifically. And I came back home to City of Lauderhill after 1 year because I did not like billing clients and I did not like billable hours. So that's how I came to where I am today.
So you've pivoted a lot since college. from
Yes, I did.
athletics to law to realty to getting your law degree to planning and zoning division.
Right. So it was a long, windy road. But when you look at it, and it's interesting, and I talked about this before, it wasn't on purpose. But when I stand back and look at it, it looks like all this, the steps that I took were on purpose.
Right.
So it's funny. Sometimes you don't realize it, but you kind of just naturally evolve into what you're doing. You never know where you may end up.
That's true. So what does the job you have now, what does a normal day look like for you?
The thing I like about my job now, there's not necessarily a normal day. There's things that you have to deal with every day. And in my role, there's a lot of administration that's involved. So meaning coordination of meetings, coordination of plan review, making sure that plans and applications are being reviewed in a timely manner, sitting in on pre-application meetings. So to be specific and clear, my job deals with community development, planning and zoning, or urban planning, as many may, recognize it, is how you develop a city, the way in which a city is laid out, and the way in which the city government undertakes new development and redevelopment of existing properties, and the way they develop blighted properties. It's a large range of things. So we deal directly with developers and residents and business owners. When we have pre-application meetings, they can range from anything to installing a fence to building a 100,000 square foot office building. And I sit in on those. I do a lot of code interpretation, which ties into my legal background because that's what I did as a land use attorney. So it ranges. I'm in the field sometimes. I'm taking tours of properties. I'm looking at other properties elsewhere in preparation for those same types of uses coming to our city. It's working within the development code. So every city and municipality has a code that governs the way in which things are developed and where they can go. So there's times that has to be updated or changed or interpreted. And that's what my job consists of. So a normal day is emails, project coordination, and dealing with applicants. And those applicants may be other land use attorneys, they may be developers, and they may be members of the public. So that's a day in the life. And I appreciate it because some days may be more of one thing than another. So I appreciate that variety.
Okay, well, thank you for all of that. It sounds like it's an amazing opportunity, and I also like the fact that no day is ever the same. So I totally agree with you on that. So if we had some students listening and they were thinking about a career such as yours, what advice would you give to them?
I would say take your time, because when you're 17, 18, no one knows what some do, some people do, but I think the vast majority of people don't know what they may be interested in. You may think you're interested in something and get there like myself and say, oh gosh, I hate this. But I would say be patient with yourself and really dive into the things that interest you. And when you make decisions like going to law school, be sure that you do your research and due diligence. Talk to lawyers, talk to law students, talk to law professors, find out the different jobs that a lawyer can apply for, find out what a day in the life of a normal lawyer consists of, because one beautiful thing about the law, you don't necessarily have to work for a law firm. I'm a good example of that, but you don't necessarily always have to go to law school. You may think, I have to be a lawyer to get this job. That's not always the case. So one piece of advice I would say is do your research, ask people questions, ask the people that are doing it every day, and don't be afraid to change your mind, because there's going to be a lot of that. So I think that's the best piece of advice I can give.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that, and I appreciate you sharing your time with us. Thank you,
for having me. I hope it was helpful. Have a good one.
Thank you.